I will talk to you about both of you about this. But do you want to talk to us about your return to Rocketry Land and joining the committee and future plans and launches?
Well, I had a pretty long absence from Rocketry, largely because my wife developed a terminal illness and I had to convert my house, and all of my activities were focused on my wife's looking after my wife. After a lengthy period, she finally passed. It took me a little while to get myself back together, but I eventually returned to Rocketry about 2 years ago.
Nice. Well, not nice, understandable, but it's good to have you back.
Yeah.
What are your future plans for Rocketry?
Well, L2 for a start. And so there just always seems to be so much happening.
Yeah.
That,
hard to get as much done as you want.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And George, I haven't seen you. Well, I haven't seen you recently, but I haven't seen you launching recently.
No, not since Thunder. And Thunder counts 2015, so that's 10 years ago. And that coincided with a big change in my life. And Thunder was right in the middle of moving or downsizing from the house to another place. And I had a whole lot of projects to do, which took a couple of years. And Rocketry took a back burner, and then Bruce come along. Well, Bruce has been around a fair while, of course.
Yep.
And he says, "Oh, let's go shooting."
Oh,
I go,
yeah,
"Oh, yeah, why not?" So we started.
He does the clay pigeon, is it?
Yeah, skeet. Oh, whatever they call it. Yeah. So we went out to Ripley every 2 or 3 weeks, quite some time. But I don't know what happened. I saw Pete and Nick occasionally, and they have a good old chat. But yeah, just life moved on, and Rocketry was left in the distance or behind, and yeah.
So, George, what do you think happens to all of those Rocketeers who progress from L0 to L3 and vanish? Because that doesn't happen in golf, and it doesn't happen in shooting. Yeah. So, what do you think is the? I've often wondered about that myself.
Well, problem is there's nowhere to go. Really, I mean, as you get to L3, then what? I mean, you can do it.
So is that a failing of the system, or is that a failing of the club? No. Should those people be mentoring L1s and 2s? And I think that does happen. You're a good example.
Yeah, that's right. But the goals change because to go on from L3, it starts to get expensive.
Well, there is no L4.
Well, it's experimental, but that's
we can't talk about that. No.
Well, that's a category with triple E.
Yeah.
And it's beyond L3, so you've got to be L3 certified before you can go on there.
And then to partake in it, you've got to relocate to the US and launch in the US.
Anyway, bottom line is that hasn't happened in Australia, and there was no prospect of it happening because of the government regulations. So that was never an option, really. But even the upper levels of L3, so we're talking O-level motors. I mean, you can't shoot fire one every couple of weeks or every month or two. I mean,
that's your mortgage house.
It's just a totally different thing, and the costs they don't go up a bit; they go up exponentially. And L3 was like, I can't afford to keep doing this for very much longer. I did like between L1 and L2s, not big L2s. But then you sort of run out of sort of goals, really.
So rather than do M motor launches, I was pretty happy just doing L mode H, and you didn't think about let's just keep launching.
That's what I was doing. Okay. Yeah,
it's funky.
But yeah, it is. Yeah, it was sort of like once you've launched M motors, going back to little H motors, like yeah. And then I sort of needed goals, and things like electronics, and who was that guy that came out from the States? He came out in a bus.
Lee Garvey. Not Lee Garvey.
Garbo.
B-Day Garvey.
I mean, all that was really exciting stuff. You know, the what was the name of that?
Telemetron.
Telemetron.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean that really kept me going for a bit, but in the end, it just started to get too expensive. But it was really other things came along, and you know that happened to everyone, as you know, like Bruce and Alex. And
So Matt, can we just turn this around a little bit and just ask you what you think the solution to keeping all these highly qualified people in rocketry longer might be?
So I think, as George said, you know, L3 is held up to be this ultimate
Zenith.
yeah.
So a lot of people focus on L3 and getting the L3 and doing what it takes to get there. Once you've got your L3, then you think, I just spent, well, back in 10 years ago, I just spent $500 on one motor. And I also spent 6 months, 8 months building this rocket. So it becomes then, well, yeah, what do I do next?
And if you take a break from for more than 12 months, you have to go through the whole process again to requalify, to buy the next motor.
Yes. And for me to keep interested, buying an motor these days is just totally out of the question for me. So I got into cluster motors, cluster rockets. So I launched a few times on 3Hs, 3Is. And I also...
So that's still an expensive proposition.
Yeah. But it's like 3 times... Back then, it was 3 times $60. It's a lot cheaper than $500. Even just building big rockets, you know, I built a 3-motor 75mm cluster rocket, which I know I'll never launch. That's all right. And for me these days, I do things other than launch rockets. You know, I come along to make sure things are going smoothly and talk to people and evangelize a bit, just try and be involved. Yeah, I mean, I've been involved in rockets in one form or another for over 40 years.
When's the last time you launched a rocket?
Be good, at least 3 or 4 years ago. Oh, no. I probably have launched once in the last 3 years, and that would have been an E-motor. I built a plank rocket, so it was just a square piece of wood on top of a motor. That was a good few years ago now.
Because I think you'd probably find that if we talk to Dave Cousins, David Boyd, George, it's a very similar story. You get involved, it becomes a social structure, rocketry, as opposed to where if you're shooting a rifle, each week you're shooting a rifle and you're paying loosely the same amount per round, and you're advancing your skills. So you're getting people who are 80 years of age and still target shooting. Quite bad.
Sorry, keep going, Lee.
Yeah, no. So I was just wondering, I cannot see how a mechanism like that would work within rocketry. But you know, you reach apogee at about level 3, and that's it.
Yeah. As I said, what I found, I used to do different things. You know, try with baffle, ejection. You know, so you don't need wadding, just different things, and splitting apart, and minimum diameter and clusters and all that sort of thing. One thing I found to keep my interest as well was I found it's a lot of work. Let's say I want to do an end motor launch. Prepping that av bay is a lot of work. Prepping the rocket is a lot of work.
half a day.
Yeah, at least. But if I do a lower mid power, I'm just going to put the motor in, put some wadding. So trying to do those
and you can be pre-prepared for smaller L1s, particularly L1s.
Yeah.
And G motors and so on. Yeah.
So I think the idea is new challenges.
That's right.
Whether that's bigger motors or small motors.
I see that Tim Van Milligan, who's probably been in rocketry longer than all of us combined, has gone to the other extreme, and he's going minimal weight, and he's building fiberglass airframes that are basically built out of tissue paper that's been resined, and that's his current pursuit. So that's possibly his way of keeping.
What's he launching them on?
Double A's and triple A's.
Yeah, he was non-high powered rocketry for a very long time.
Yeah. It's certainly not high powered. You know, it's like minimal thrust.
Yeah.
Who was that guy? There was a guy out there that just used to launch A motors, and he got a record.
I
for,
can see his face.
Yeah.
I can see his face.
He got the
He,
world
he
record.
wrote articles for the newsletter, and he like Grasshopper and these sort of things were the name of his rocket. He just did like an A8, but it was just perfectly crafted and smooth, and his launch logs were all. I can see his face, but I can't think of the name. I'll think of it later. All right, that's enough about me. We talked about brain drain solutions. Okay, finally, the future. What do you see as the future of QRS and rocketry, and yourselves overlapping with that? We've seen you at a launch already this year.
That was that this year or last year?
It was
Last year.
Oh, it was last year. Okay.
Yeah, look, Len's sort of coming back into it, and we are thinking of launching. So my role in the future will be
Ground support for.
ground team support for Len,
Okay.
and I look forward to that. But probably launching. See, at the end of the day, when you get up to L3 and beyond, you don't launching a rocket's just whatever.
Yeah.
And I get
It's all about the prepping of the rocket.
and it is
Designing.
I would get more out of assisting Len
Yep.
and mentoring Len and making and more encouraging him so he doesn't sort of lose interest.
Yeah.
So
I have a grasshopper mind, so it's very easy to get distracted along the way.
Jump
With
somewhere.
variety of projects.
So that was my.
We're going to fly drones this afternoon, George.
Okay. I was hoping Len, I could, help Len. Did you have to do an L1 still?
I've got to do everything again, George.
Are you still a member of Tripoli? Could you maintain yours? Okay.
In the end, I didn't.
Okay, so you have lost all your certifications as well.
The last one I had, that L3 there,
Yeah.
20, end of 20, that's 11 years ago,
Wow, okay.
10 years ago. Yeah.
All right, so there's a good challenge for you. Maybe like L1, L2, and L3 in one day.
That is not a challenge I would readily go into. And my challenge would be because I assisted you for the L2 out at Williams, and that went well.
Yeah,
and
and
really
Bruce
well.
and Shirley, and we'll when they have a recovery to get it all.
Yeah. So the next one, obviously you've got to redo those, but then you've got to do an L3. That's a big.
And then you leave rocketry.
I don't know what you're going to do.
Well,
This could be a 10-year plan.
It could be.
So
At the rate I'm doing L1, yes, that could be maybe longer.
So let's take L3 out of the picture. If you did an L1 and L2, we could have you as an RSO and an LCO, all those sort of things. And then, so you're involved, you're contributing, helping people.
That brings on another interesting topic. I was looking at the LTO and RSO roster yesterday. Thank you very much for sending those through to me. But I did see the people who were on that list, and I had some reservations that some of those people there may not have been, what I considered,
Scratching.
And so I'm just a bit concerned that there was no real experience, and even for the October Skies launch, there's only one experienced person I saw on that list, and that was Warren.
Change it all around.
And
I just grabbed the list of these certs and put them in. So.
And I'm not saying that those people, shouldn't have been, on the list, because how else they're qualified.
Yeah.
Which means they're insured.
Yeah.
The launch is insured, but maybe there should have been, maybe there is a role for someone like George who knows what a fin fillet looks like, who knows what a,
Yeah, absolutely.
centre of gravity, to basically not to sign the launch card as the RSO, but to help the RSO learn to go through the inspection process. And or to the launch gear has all changed probably since I've written to them. We've had multiple changes, I think, since I was last LCO. But for someone just to look at being able to be there and address all the issues, etc.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
With LCO, so you've got not a person signing the card as LCO.
Yeah.
Because
It needs his L2 to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. You need your L2 to
What
do
about
that.
something like a pad manager?
Yeah, and I think we could call, and that's just someone who's going to mentor LCOs and RSOs, and that could be Matt, that could be anyone, that
Yep.
could be anyone who's had a reasonable amount of experience. I think when we were at the last prefecture meeting, they were talking about how long they take to bring a RSO on board and to make sure they've got enough experience. They haven't just got their L2; they've got their experience of doing a rocket inspection.
Yep.
And you can't get that quickly. You don't do your L2 and suddenly have that
The next day.
the next day.
Yeah, I mean that's a kind of a bit of a hole in our process at the moment. So I'm going to try and review again the LCO RSO training, and maybe this time we're doing an in-person course rather than let it drag on a bit longer.
So what would you think, George, would be the most important things that you would, as a former RSO, and as an L3, what would you look for in someone who brings to you their first cardboard rocket, their first L1 rocket, or their first L2 rocket? What would you be looking at?
Well, that's the basics. So,
Fuel attachment. Launch lug placement.
Just basics. Yeah. And centre of gravity, centre of pressure.
Thrust to weight.
Thrust and weight.
With all those.
Could we have George run that training, the RSO training?
George, do it. I'd attend.
I don't know if I would, but
No. Who knows? It's been over 10 years, so it would take a fair bit of brushing up to try and bring things back to mind. But there's people out there like who have you got out there that's L3? Is Warren McKay still around?
And he's the RSO for.
yeah, he might be there.
Yeah,
So
I thought about giving him a call. I thought if I gave him enough advance warning, he might be there. But he has other projects, and that's the story of rocket.
Well, my list here. This isn't probably not everyone. I got George.
Are you talking about previous L3s?
L3s. George, Dean.
Yeah.
Bruce is Bruce.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, he was.
He under Marucci.
Yeah.
And he probably still, possibly, who knows? I haven't
A
seen.
special launch, a special occasion, you might get him along.
Well, he's about to retire from the regulatory process.
How close is he?
I thought he would have done it by now. And then he was talking. Then it was going to be last year, and then Then he went over to Europe for 2 months. Because you remember Alex?
Yep.
Yeah, he got married in Ireland.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I was trying to call him.
Hey?
That's when I was trying to call him late last year about certifications. That was always.
Yeah. And then he was going to retire at the end of June this year. I haven't spoken to him. So I don't know whether he has or he hasn't, but it's very close.
You mean June a month ago?
Yes. Yeah.
That June.
That June.